guys, welcome to BOMISpirit. This is going to be the full moon Virgo astrology video. So I've tried to record this a few times because I'm playing around with some tech stuff here that I'm not used to, and it's thrown me a little bit, but I'm trying my best. So hopefully fourth time's a charm, or beyond three at this point. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing amazing. Now, I will say, I used to do videos like this where I talked about the astrology for the moon cycles here on YouTube. And, I like to shake things up every once in a while. But the last few years, I have continued to do that over on Patreon. And so just to let you guys know, I've already met with the Rainbow Tribe with my patrons. And when we go over the moon cycles, it's a hangout. It's usually like a 2, 3, sometimes actually we've gone to 4 hours sometimes, where we do a deep dive into the astrology. We catch up. We talk about random stuff that's coming up for everybody. We pull cards. We do channel messages. So we do that over on Patreon, just to let you guys know. And if you are curious about being a patron, go ahead and check it out. And please read the descriptions thoroughly before signing up, as things have also evolved over time, so just letting you guys know that. But today, I want to start doing this again on YouTube, but more so focusing on astrology only. So I'm not pulling cards or anything like that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do this, Now, you may be catching this the day of the eclipse. As well, just letting you know. The eclipse is happening on March 14th at 2:54 a.m. East Coast time, so adjust that for where you are. Some of you, this is happening on the 13th of March, right? It's the night of March 13th, essentially. The cool thing is, if you're in North America or South America, I know some parts of Europe and Africa are included in this too, you'll be able to see it, which is amazing. I think that's cool. It has to be clear night, obviously, like can't be any clouds or anything, but you should be able to see it. So just keep that in your awareness, okay? Now, before getting into the astrology, I do want to do a quick little just summary, paraphrase, what you just need to know about the full moon eclipse for those of you who are like, astrology is a little too much to digest, and I will be getting into some details here today, It's an interesting full moon because, I'm not going to lie, it's a little crunchy. It's a little challenging. It's a full moon total lunar south nodal eclipse. And I am doing this in Western Tropic Astrology for those who are curious, which means we're getting into some like denser energies. We're getting into some things that we need to release. We need to change. We need to close out. We need to be done with, right? Closing out the south node, closing out the past, closing out the old. So sometimes that's crunchy because we got to get in there to do it. Now, just as a rule of thumb with astrology, it's not a nail in the coffin, just like with anything in astrology. So I also want to say that everything we discussed today, if you don't resonate, that's okay. That is okay. Astrology, I look at as a very fun form of study where we can see the energies we're all exposed to, and dependent on our charts, dependent on our free will and what we want to do and our own beliefs, it can be a very different experience for everybody. Right? So just know that if someone's forecasting like really horrible things and you're like, nah, that's cool. You can be nah about it. Right? So I just want to, make that clear. But as a rule of thumb in astrology, a full moon lunar south nodal eclipse tends to really rock the internal world a little bit, our emotional world, emotional body, our feelings, even our private life. And so that can also be a little bit more jarring compared to like a solar eclipse, where it's a little bit more about the external. It's a little bit more about the new things that are happening versus awareness of what needs to go, right? So if you're feeling a little dense, a little pressure, a little, it's okay. You're not alone. You're not alone in that. But coming to what you really need to know about this season, you may want to be taking action right now. You may want to be doing things, especially in terms of like what you feel called to do, what your heart is telling you to do, what your soul is telling you to do. And you may run into delays. You may run into disappointments. You may run into unexpected challenges and events, towers even. Just know that as these things happen, they really are in your highest good, particularly with this full moon, with some of the aspects and fixed stars that are happening right now. And actually, for some of you, it may totally change your course. It may totally change your plans, but it really is for the best, okay? Altering paths and courses is a huge thing with this full moon in particular. The other thing is it may open up some windows of healing. It may show you or highlight to you how certain fears or insecurities or even anger feelings of injustice may be very prominent within you and maybe actually influencing some of your decision making and maybe actually self-sabotaging you in some way, and maybe you weren't even aware of it until now, you know? The other main thing with this full moon, and we've been in this energy for a bit, of staying the course, practicing due diligence with honoring the things we want, being heart-led, being soul-led, taking care of ourselves, prioritizing self-care emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, all the above, right? And then the shit we have to do that we don't like to do. Responsibilities, obligations, commitments, duty, things of that nature. These delays that happen, they may force you to focus on another aspect of life in these ways I've been speaking of. Self-care, the things that you actually want to do, your soul's saying do, or the things you hate doing and you gotta do. Adulting, you can wrap it up to that, right? May force you to focus on these other aspects of life, one of the three, in a way that maybe you don't really want, maybe in a way you're not ready for, maybe in a way you're like, meh, not liking this, hating this. But there's a reason for that. And if you can do your due diligence in doing that, and maybe you've been doing that, and maybe you're exhausted, and maybe you're like, when is this going to let up? When is this going to get a little more clear? When is this going to get a little more stable? The challenge of this full moon is to maintain your sense of stability through this, and that is through maintaining your intention. Everything has an intention, and that also helps us to do these things easier, and also to bring in a little bit more magic into the mix, like even with shit you don't want to do, right? Like paying taxes, for example. I know that's a big thing for everybody right now. There is a reason we do it, even if we don't want to do it. Cleaning the house. I don't know what's other shit that we don't like to do as humans. Chores, even. I'm having trouble thinking of things. Going into the office, right? There is a reason we do these things, and because all of these things help to maintain our sense of stability. So if you remember that, if you really hold on to your intentions behind why you do what you do, the things you have to do, the things you want to do, and including self-care, it's going to make everything a lot easier. This is about being proactive with adapting to the ever-changing road, right? By controlling your own car. And I've been using this analogy recently because I think it's just the best one to use. You can't control or dictate the twists and turns of the highway. They are what they are. You're on the road, you're on that path, you chose that path. And you're just driving that path the best that you can. Sometimes we can get off the off-ramp and go on a whole other road entirely, take some side streets or whatever. Totally up to you. That's the power of free will. But you have complete control over your own car, okay? Now, payoffs. Maintaining your due diligence with this, your stability, accepting the flow of changes, of the chaos, even if you want to say, there are payoffs to this with this full moon, which is amazing, and that's beautiful. And this full moon's also coming with very positive changes. Some of you are initiating these changes yourself, but a lot of us, it's just kind of happening, and we're just, driving the car the best that we can. Now, the payoffs, some of you may have already been experiencing the payoffs and rewards for this. Some of you, this will happen around this full moon in Virgo. Some of you, this will happen after the fact, okay? It is an eclipse, and so these energies tend to hang out for quite an extended period of time, okay? More so than a typical full moon. Okay? Okay. What are some other things I wanted to mention with this full moon? Partake in nurturing friendships and partnerships at this time, particularly partnerships and friendships that nurture your independence, that nurture the unique self, and play and growth and learning and experiences. It's actually going to help you to really exercise your own sense of play and passion and creativity, especially creative intelligence as well. There's some aqua airy stuff going on there. So nurture those relationships. You may have people come in suddenly and move out suddenly. That's also the nature of the eclipses. I feel like there was something else. Because again, this is my 4th time recording. There's just a lot of information. I'm quickly looking at my notes. No, we did not. We did not. That feels too simple. It does. It feels too simple. But no, I mean, that is the bulk of this full moon Virgo. And any clarity you have right now about changes that you need to make for yourself, right? Whether they're habits, routines, patterns, again, it's just old things that have been getting in the way, right? Yeah, it's just old things that have been getting in the way. That can happen around this time. Again, it still feels very crunchy and very sticky because we do have a lot of Saturnian pressure and emphasis on this full moon, not just because Saturn's aspecting the full moon, but also all the fixed stars that are active with this full moon are Saturnian in nature. So that Saturn energy is like turned way up. And it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good. Um, but that's what Saturn teaches us. Saturn teaches us discipline, right? And we've also been learning so much about patience and acceptance with Pisces. And this is the full moon Virgo. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get into the astrology. There we go. I have no idea if you can actually see this. I really hope you can. It may be very teeny tiny on your screen, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, we're going to go over some of the aspects together here, okay? Now, but actually, before we do that, typically with a full moon cycle, there's things that are happening beyond Virgo, the energy of Virgo with this full moon. But I want to just bring the awareness to themes of Virgo, okay? Because these themes may be important to you around this time because it is a full moon Virgo eclipse, even though we have other things going on, okay? So again, full moon, changes, endings, clarity, intuition's showing you things. Your dreams will be telling you a lot. And you may start to have a focus around these themes of Virgo. Being of service to other people, receiving and or giving support, integrity, intention, intentional living, goals, health, nature, resources, which is like time, energy, money, food even, resource management, organizing, plans, understanding systems, understanding how systems work. Networking is also coming through as well. Your daily work practice or your practice of work. And when I say practice of work, I know sometimes when we hear the word work, we think career and earning money, and that's not just what work is. Work is the utilization of time, energy, money to cultivate or move something or to create something, to create movement, to create momentum, to create progression, right? That is the practice of work. And it doesn't just apply to career. It's also how you literally exert energy and invest into things, whether that's, again, goals, your workout routine, how you go about your daily life, projects, even cooking. Like it's literally work is just the utilization of energy, time, and resources. Okay. But what is your practice of work? That can also be a practice of devotion. Okay. These are themes that may be coming up for you around this eclipse to evaluate, to change, to alter, to see how you can improve upon, especially as like delays and challenges and blocks tend to come up around this particular full moon. Again, it's happening for a reason. It is happening for your highest good, and go, like drive the road. Drive the flow of the road and change lanes when you need to. Brake when you need to. Speed up when you need to. Adjust accordingly. Okay. Some of you may perceive losses. There is a blessing to this. Okay. Because again, we're closing things out. We're ending things that just wanted to be said. All right. Now let's get into some of the aspects here. So if you can't see the colors, it's okay. Just follow along with what I'm saying. I'm trying my best to choose the colors appropriately here. So, I know it's hard to see any Pisces, Aries stuff in this, but it is what it is. So, these are the aspects that are creating the actual full moon, the moon opposing the sun. Now, there's a fixed star working with the moon. We also have Saturn working with the sun. And because this is a full moon total lunar eclipse, the north node is also opposing the moon. Okay. Again, if you don't know these aspects, that is okay. Now, the fixed star that's working with the moon, this is going to tie into the payoffs, okay, of practicing your due diligence. But the fixed star up here that's with the moon, I'm probably gonna have to clean some of this up as we go, is Cor Caroli. It's also used to be referred to as Chara, Chara, for those who are curious about research. It has a Saturnian Venusian nature and a decent magnitude. With this star, all you need to know is that it is associated with respect given for services well done. for being of service. That is very Virgo. Okay. Now, the fact that this is working with the moon and opposing the Saturn in Pisces, that opposition can create a little bit of a self-critical, judgmental, being hard on the self, other people being hard on you, feeling like you're not meeting expectations, whether they're your own or other people. It feels very self-critical to me. It also calls into question how you are balancing your, how do I want to say, your social life, actually, even work life, because of the Saturnian component. It can create a little bit of loneliness, a little bit of depression, a little bit of melancholy, and it can also create a little bit of struggle with our social lives. It doesn't have to, but it absolutely can. Now, it could also create this feeling of like you're not getting the rewards or recognition for all of the stuff you do, for all of the work you do, for everything that you have invested your time, energy, or money into. This is coming in as a channeling. Some of you, this may actually be more spiritually oriented. Like maybe you've been trying to maintain faith and hope in certain situations and you just feel like it's been for naught. Okay, that can also come up here. But something that's very positive here with these aspects is Uranus. So Uranus is down here, also working very closely with a fixed star called Zorak. Uranus is trine the moon and sextile Saturn. Why is this amazing? Because Zorak also speaks to this kind of disappointing, depressing kind of energies. Zorak actually refers to the bright one in the boat. It sits in the Eridanus constellation, which is also called the river. Zorak specifically speaks to this feeling of being alone in the unknown, or being alone on your journey, or being alone in suffering and feeling like you got a long way to go, or it's not very clear on how to get out. But when Uranus comes into play, and this is not explicit to literature, this is my own feeling into it and my own interpretation, Uranus comes in to shake that up, okay? Because Uranus likes to bring in unexpected changes and breakthroughs and rebel and break things. That's what Uranus loves to do, right? Awaken things, bring things to our awareness in kind of volatile ways. Now, having the moon trine Uranus with Zorak, there may be some insights, breakthroughs, intuitive hits that help you to see your way out of any stuck energy, any sort of depression, any sort of loneliness, any sort of narratives of I am alone and this is too hard and I don't know what's happening, any sort of doubts and fears. Uranus can actually help you awaken you out of it. But that does feel more emotional and intuitive based. Now, Uranus can also bring about external unexpected changes and events that shake you up on your path, and even like in a way can restore your belief if you are receptive to it, is how I want to say. Now, Saturn being sextile Uranus, this is where the payoffs also come in, because again, Saturn is also aspecting the moon with this core Caroli energy of respect given for services well done. Saturn being sextile Uranus, any way you have been practicing due diligence, maintaining your faith and your hope, maintaining self-care, maintaining your duties and responsibilities, and also honoring your own wants and desires, no matter how challenging it's been, no matter how hard it's been, no matter how dark it's been, any fears and insecurities you've had, especially doubts. Doubts are big here. This is where the payoff can happen. Now, again, the payoff can happen now. It can happen months from now because of the nature of eclipse energies, and maybe it even happened leading up to this full moon. It's different for all of you. Now, the unexpected changes could literally be like a promotion, literally, or suddenly you see even how to give yourself your own accolades. It's just the shakeup. It's the shakeup for positive changes here that are happening in terms of shaking us out of the doubt, the shadow, the darkness, the loneliness, the uncertainty, the unknown. Some of you, this will be altering your path, altering your course, altering the road entirely, or even altering your plans, even altering how you see things. Some of you, it is going to feel like the light is coming back in, for like the light is emerging back out from the darkness. Okay. So very, very positive stuff there. Now, moving on. Yeah, I'm going to have to clean this up every time. That's okay. That is okay. Yeah, we'll keep the color. All right. Let's talk about Mars. Oh, Mars. We have Mars over here in Cancer, 18 degrees. Now, we've been working with a grand water trine. Not every astrologer would say it's been a grand water trine, but in my book it is. So Mars in Cancer at 18 degrees, Saturn in Pisces, 22 degrees, working with Vesta in Scorpio at 18 degrees. I would say this grand water trine is weak at this point because of how far Saturn has progressed. But it's still there. I would say this is the last week that we have it. And you probably are also noticing too this little trine here between Uranus, the moon, and Pluto. The reason I don't count that is because Pluto is so far in degree range in Aquarius. Like this is 24 degrees Taurus, 23 degrees Virgo, 3 degrees Aquarius. I just wouldn't count that as an astrologer. But for those who know how to read charts and you're like, hey, there's a trine right there, I don't count it for that reason. But anyway, coming back. Oh, I need water. Give me a second. Ooh. So this water trine, again, fairly weak, but this water trine has been helping us to really get into our heart spaces, really get deep within ourselves, to be connected to what our heart and souls are calling us to do, to experience, to feel, even to prioritize. Again, different for everybody, right? It doesn't have to be a calling for you. It could even just be time with family, time with loved ones, creative time, adventure time. It's different for everybody. It depends on who you are as a person, depends on what matters to you, and also depends on your chart. And of course, free will and your own beliefs, okay? Healing could also be a huge part of this, but another component of this grand water trine has been this continued detaching and letting go and releasing of anything that's been getting in the way of your intuition, listening to your heart space, listening to your own soul, okay? So that's been there. Now, here's what's interesting. Mars is doing some stuff outside of this grand water trine. Hold on, where's Chiron? I know it's really hard to see Chiron because it's all smushed together. Chiron's over here with Eris. Mars is square Chiron. And Chiron's working with Eris. Oh, I just got really nauseous. Ooh, sorry, guys. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, whoa, why did that make me so nauseous? Oh my God, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you. Some of you guys may have some solar stuff. Oh, maybe you've been dealing, oh my God. Oh God, bleh. Maybe you've been dealing with solar stuff. I feel like I could actually throw up right now. This is pure energy. This is not mine. Digestion, the solar, that usually that's an emotional center, and that can harbor insecurity and a lot of fear. I'm thinking like fear, panic, anxiety. Confidence issues, self-esteem issues, these kinds of things. Keep in mind too, because this full moon is like Virgo Pisces oriented, because it's an eclipse, so it's oriented around the North Node and the South Node. If you have 12th house, 6th house, Virgo Pisces, even Taurus, because of the nature of the aspects, there could be some health stuff that come up around this time. Taurus also impacts the solar. Just putting that information out there. But Chiron's also working with a fixed star called Baton Kaitos. Very, very interesting fixed star. And we're going to get into it right now. So, first of all, let's start there and we'll get into the square that Mars is creating with Chiron. So, Baton Kaitos is a fixed star that sits at Aries 22 degrees and has a Saturnian nature. Shocker. It's a binary star that sits in the Whale constellation, also known as the Sea Monster, also known as Cetus. That's the official name of the constellation. So it's interesting because this star in particular translates to the belly of the Sea Monster or the belly of the whale. And yes, there is an association with Jonah. When I was feeling into this, I actually heard the belly of the beast. And I talked about this on Patreon. There were a couple, the belly. Oh my God, duh. This is why I'm so nauseous. Because I'm looking at my notes because I couldn't remember exactly what the fixed star mythology was or the literature was. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why I'm nauseous. See, we do astrology here, but we can't help but do channel messages, can we? Oh, I feel so sick. When I tuned into that channeling of it's really the belly of the beast, there were a couple of things that I was getting. It was about the shadow, and I feel like it's really about fear and insecurity and panic being devoured by the beast, devoured by fear, panic, and insecurity. And on the flip side of that, how we transmute and devour the fear, panic, and insecurity? Is the beast devouring us, or are we devouring the beast? And in devouring, I also just mean like transmuting. It's alchemy, it's shadow work, it's integration, it's becoming one with your shadow, becoming one with your fear, understanding it, understanding it so that it doesn't control you, right? So is the beast swallowing you, or are you swallowing the beast? The fact that it's working with Chiron, there's some more implications here and we'll get into it. The fact that it's working with Chiron, Chiron is represents our wounds, insecurities, and our fears. And in Aries, particularly the ego. So for some of you, you may be experiencing the beast, so to speak, as the actual ego. Is the ego swallowing you whole and driving things, hence fear, panic, insecurity? Or do you have control over your ego? And are you at one with your ego? Are you in the driver's seat? Or is your ego, right? For some of you, that's equating to that. And some of you may experience some ego death stuff around this full moon. That's not for everybody. You know who you are, okay? Now, some other things are associated with this particular fixed star that I don't think you have to worry too much about, because a lot of interpretations of fixed stars are pretty negative in nature. So this one's no exception. Misfortune by accident, falls, blows. But what stuck out to me, inevitable emigration. That's pretty unique. Not immigration, emigration. Emigration is the leaving of, not the flocking to, but it's the flocking away, but inevitable. Some of us may experience in terms of these like unexpected events, like an unexpected move or unexpected travel. You may even prompt this yourself, or it may come up in your happenstance. Don't be shocked if that happens. For that, I would see where you have Aries and Taurus, what houses those are for you. And if it is like 4th house, 9th house, actually 3rd house, 4th house, 9th house, 11th house, there may be some unexpected traveling going on there. Okay. Yeah, just putting that out there. But as it's working with Chiron, yeah, fears, insecurities, and trauma may be coming up around this time to be acknowledged, to be released, to be transmuted. Excuse me. This may be particularly so around the experience of loss, defeat, misfortune, or injury by uncontrollable forces. All right. Hence that like chaos, right? This may also emphasize or exacerbate thoughts of calamity, disaster, or death because of also the nature of Virgo and Pisces shadow themes around health and illness and things of that nature. That's not for everybody. It's just part of the literature. Okay. Now, what does that mean in terms of Mars squaring off with Chiron? Mars, as it relates to the grand water trine and what we've been learning with the retrograde phase of Mars, now we are in the post shadow of it still. We're still integrating our lessons from Mars retrograde. So you may be having some sort of like full circle moments from things that have taken place from September through December up through February. There may be some things that you are reflecting on or closing out. So just to give that information as well. But Mars being in Cancer, it is about taking action from the heart space, from things that we really care about, from things that offer emotional stability and nourishment, things that we even want to protect, including loved ones. That's what Mars is helping us to do. Taking action on things that our souls and hearts are saying, go and do this now, go and experience this, go and prioritize this, feel this, right? As we do that, the square to Chiron, delays, challenges, slow down. So that's creating some slowdowns and delays, as is the Saturn opposing the full moon itself. So there's a few things that's adding to that. But when that happens, Chiron gets activated. So when we hit a wall or we hit a challenge, it may trigger us in that Chiron energy in that same way of the fixed star of Bat and Kaitos, of our fears, our insecurities, our egos getting riled up and being like, no. Especially with the Eris component, also emphasizing Chiron here. Eris cares about justice, has a little bit of a vengeful quality. Eris is kind of like a vigilante street fighter kind of energy sometimes. And when I tuned into her, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like injustice. You may feel very upset and literally like, this is not fair and I am not okay with this. But it may also show you some of these deeper, especially in the solar plexus, again, solar plexus, ego, identity stuff, of insecurities and fears that are still operating in your system. Okay. The other thing that's kind of nice though, that's helping here, it's okay if it's getting a little too crazy to look at on the chart. Cheriklo. Cheriklo is actually sextile Chiron. Cheriklo is the medicine woman, and with her being in Aquarius, she's been in Aquarius for quite some time, and Cheriklo and Chiron are actually counterparts. Cheriklo is the medicine woman, while Chiron is the wounded healer. It's kind of like a masculine feminine shamanic duo, if you will. They are actual counterparts in the mythology. But Cheriklo wants to come in and help us heal. Cheriklo, especially in Aquarius, wants to offer very deep soul healing of the authentic self and our consciousness, and also bring our own unique talents and skill sets to the surface that our own wounding and trauma bring us and gift us. So a lot of beautiful things can happen out of this. Like I said, if you experience a slowdown or a wall or a challenge or delay, it is an opportunity to get rid of some shit, to heal some shit, but also to allow some of your own unique skills and talents to emerge out of what this particular brand of your own wounding has gifted you, okay? So embrace that for what it is and how that comes up in your life. Now, moving on. Just clean it up so we can see better. Let's talk about Mercury and Venus. This is nice. I actually really like this little duo here. Again, I know it's hard to see. Just trust the process. So Venus and Mercury are conjunct in Aries, and there is a fixed star that's working more closely with Mercury, but it's right there in the sandwich of Venus and Mercury. Now, Venus has already been retrograding. You've probably been experiencing that energy. I know I have. Mercury is going to go retrograde the day after the eclipse on March 15th, and personally, I feel like that energy is already here. But when you have Venus and Mercury in Aries, it's a very charismatic vibe. It can be very confident too in terms of like the things that you want to do, the things you want to say, the things you want to initiate, even your own sense of play and flirtation, how you engage with others. It's a very, very nice vibe. Now, the fixed star that's working with these two, they mentioned creative inventiveness is also part of this as well with Mercury and with Venus. Now, this is also an aspect that can help us nurture friendships, okay? So don't forget that. But this is also that creative inventiveness. The fixed star that's working with this conjunction is called, I may be mispronouncing this, Algenib, doing my best. Algenib, okay? It has a Martian mercurial nature, so not quite Saturnian, but Mars is also malefic, just like Saturn. This actually sits in the Pegasus constellation, and when it's working with Venus and Mercury in particular, it can pertain to popularity, interest in arts and literature, and a quick temper. Now, some of this trigger energy between Mars and Chiron that we already talked about before may also come through Mercury, especially since this retrograde energy is kicking up with Mercury. Now, like I said, it is positive. Popularity, interest in art, literature, charisma, flirtation, confidence with speaking, confidence with interacting, confidence with initiating shit, right? That's all dandy. The retrograde of Venus and Mercury may lead to a little bit of misstep here, especially if when Chiron is kicking up in that square to Mars and what's coming out of you is fear or even anger, that may be spoken very quickly through Mercury, because Mercury in Aries is a very quick communicator and a very fiery communicator, not always in the best, most tactful of ways. So keep that in mind. If you know that you're feeling shit or you're struggling with shit, choose your windows of when to interact with people, and you got to just have awareness here of yourself with that. But this conjunction is also sextile Pallas and Aquarius, which is also beautiful because that's enhancing the creative component here. Pallas also really likes resolution, harmony, solutions, knowledge, sharing knowledge. Aquarius likes that too. And honestly, that to me just feels like really great back and forth with people, inspiring conversations, and also conversations or experiences where collaborations can happen for some of you and where solutions can come about. Where it is kind of a group thing, where we respect our individual opinions that we're speaking and we're bringing to the table, so to speak, we're bringing to the group. But group solutions, as a result of our independent experiences and knowledge, are born with this, which is really cool. And I like that a lot. Some of you, this may actually translate into bigger goals like humanitarianism, social justice, that sort of deal. This aspect will also help anybody who is wanting to do podcasting or put your opinion out there on social media, that sort of deal. That's also really great for that. Okay. See, that one's nice. We like that. And then we have one final, which is just a little quickie. but it's worth it. It's worth talking about. We have, and again, I know it's really hard to see here. Eep. Neptune working with the North Node and a fixed star called Sheet. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Is trine Juno in Sag. While Juno is also, bloop, sextile Pluto. So you have Juno, Pluto, and North Node and Neptune all working together here in really positive ways. So first of all, let's talk about Sheet, that fixed star. Has a Saturnian nature. It actually is kind of lumped in with the fixed star I previously spoke about that's working with Venus and Mercury. They sit in the same constellation, the Pegasus constellation. Sheet is kind of like infamous for being one of the worst stars. Again, when they wrote all this literature, it was different times, so I don't always resonate with the interpretations of some of these fixed stars, but I can see where they were going with it. Sheet also has a very strong connection to water, the sea, storms, natural disasters, things of that nature. I will say, based off the literature, something that I was seeing quite a bit, if you have your midhaven at around Pisces 29 degrees, I would say Aries 0, Pisces 29, 28 degrees, you can potentially have a window into the misfortune of this star, which is like injury and calamity. I'm not going to say death, but like that's part of the literature. I don't think you need to worry about it. Don't get scared. Don't get scared. Don't get scared. Okay. But just be aware around this time, especially the fact that we do have Pisces, Virgo, North Node, South Node, and it's an eclipse. Just be extra careful is all. Like, don't take too many like, risky moves here. Don't go skydiving, for example, or like don't go out on your boat alone in the middle of the ocean. Like, big things like that. Like I said, I don't think you need to worry about it that much. The thing that sticks out to me with this fixed star in particular, though, is the fact that it sits at Pisces 29 degrees. That is the last degree of the zodiac, right? Aries 0 all the way around the 12 signs down to Pisces 29 degrees. It is the last degree of the zodiac. So there is something about it that feels very much like the World card, just energetically. Also very much like completion, mastery, endings, closures, and it's working with Neptune and the North Node in this eclipse. So it's really emphasizing that quality of completion, of endings, of changes, of closeouts that eclipses naturally bring. So it's like, it is kind of emphasizing that quite a bit. It also, there's something else that was coming up as well, mastery, our understanding of mastery and completion, and where the ego plays a role in that, which again, ego is something that's getting kicked up a lot with that belly of the beast, kind of Chiron, Mars square energy that I was speaking about before. So this may be a very humbling full moon for some people and a very faith restorative full moon for some people, depending on where we're at in terms of those things, of how much we've allowed our ego to do the driving versus our souls to do the driving, right? When we reach a level of mastery or completion of something, there is a level of humility and modesty, right? And when that's lacking, it's usually because there's fear or ego or insecurity that's driving some of these things. So some of us may realize where maybe we still have a lot of learning to do. Maybe we haven't really completed something. Maybe we haven't really fully learned or integrated or embodied something. And some of us, oh my gosh, I really have. I'm really done with this now, right? So just letting you know that that could be part of it. The Neptunian factor here really emphasizes the importance of intuition and really operating from our souls and really operating from our truth here. Of driving our cars. Okay. Now, the Juno component, this is kind of cool because Juno rules marriage and partnerships. I look at Juno as ruling bonded relationships, and it's in Sagittarius, and it's working very well with the North Node and Neptune here. There may be some fated partnerships or relationships at this time that come in or deepen. So ones that could be in your life right now, but suddenly you are seeing the value of them. You're seeing how important it is and how much you want to nurture them. And again, these are relationships, friendships, partnerships, bonded relationships where there's an understanding of an agreement of a contract or just being on the same page, right? Like you're in it together in something, you're committed in something together that nurture independence, that nurture personal growth for all parties involved, where there's also an importance on learning, education, higher wisdom, whether you're the student or the teacher, they're usually one and the same, right? Some of you, this is also potentially friendships, partnerships that are away from you, that are potentially like in other states, other countries. But you're nurturing them at this time, either through traveling to them and seeing them or via technology. This is also where Pluto comes into play. Pluto being sextile Juno, again, also emphasizing bringing in some new relationships or deepening them. But these partnerships and relationships and the endeavors around them, the commitments around them are life transformative. Okay. They can absolutely change your life. They can absolutely change your course. They can absolutely help you to explore and discover more aspects of you and just aspects of life in general, and to grow in that way. For some people, they may be also very karmic in nature, which is not always bad. Karmic just is what it is. But very intense, very intense. Don't be surprised if there's also some passionate, romantic, flirty energy that gets really kicked up around this time. Almost like getting into bed with people that you're learning and growing with, or even working with or collaborating with, being creative with. I think that's a fun time personally, but that is also there. Okay. So that is everything that you need to know about the astrology of this full moon. I know this is a lot of information to digest. It's up here for whenever you want to come back to it. Yeah, but just know no matter what uncontrollable chaos is happening, you have full control of the car. You also have full control and discernment if you are allowing yourself to really embrace your intuition and your hearts at this time, to drive your car in the way you want to drive it, to get to where you want to go, to have the experiences you want to have, and to respond accordingly. And to remember that there is a payoff to this, to honoring the balance of your own stability and flow of taking care of the things you don't want to take care of, but you know you have to take care of yourself, and also to honor fun and play and passion. There is a payoff that will happen here if it hasn't happened already, if you stay the course, but you need to honor yourself, you need to honor your truth, your soul, your hearts, and any relationship that nurtures that and also nurtures your sense of play and discovery and independence and personal growth. Okay. That is what this full moon is about. And of course, because of Virgo, any changes, small changes to your habits and things will help you. And every day making a little bit of progress as you can will also help you. This is not about making shit happen very quickly. This is about doing what you can in the present every single day to cultivate the experience that is best for you. But it is a long game for some people, but the payoff is happening. And even if things happen suddenly, it is in your highest good. Even if it makes you angry and upset and makes you see your own beast or the belly of the beast, you have complete control over yourself and how you decide to move through these energies. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to go. I love you. And again, if you want to check out what we got on Patreon, go ahead and check that out. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Take care.